Hi, welcome to the WyzeCast Show. I believe you can have it all and you don't have to struggle to get it. If life feels hard, your tasks seem impossible, or you just don't like the options laid out before you, I promise you there is a better way. My name is Melanie, your Better Way Architect. And once again, I welcome you to the WyzeCast Show. Today's guest, Danie Muniz, went from striving to be an effective human to being a purposeful woman. She's here today to teach us about the power of somatic breathwork and how you might use this modality to find your better way. Welcome, Danie. Thank you so much for joining us here on the WyzeCast Show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today.
Awesome. So this podcast is all about introducing modalities to our listeners and bringing in that knowing into their awareness of what exists and how they could potentially use your modality to find their better way, to bring more ease, joy, freedom into their lives, and hopefully help them to do whatever it is that's in front of them, choice, task, whatever, to find a better way so that it's easier, it brings them more joy, more freedom. So with that in mind, let me ask you, what modality will you be sharing with us today? What of the many that you offer, which one brings you the most joy to work with your clients on?
I love this, and I love that you framed it this way, because the one that I'm going to say I enjoy doing the most right now is somatic breathwork. So I facilitate somatic breathwork for individuals and groups, and it has brought me so much joy just in my own life and just to see how it's been able to transform other people's lives.
Awesome. Awesome. So we have a wide range of listeners, viewers. Some are very spiritual. Some are just getting into spirituality. Some even might call themselves atheists. But I have my own theories on that. Anyway, so we have a wide variety of listeners. And so for anyone who has never heard of somatic breathwork, the combination, just give us the layman's terms. What is it? What's it all about?
Yeah, I love that. So let's break up the two words. So first, somatic. Somatic is relating to soma, which is relating to the body. So somatic means we're connecting in with the body. Breath work is where we are using our breath to shift our energy in some way, shape, or form. Oftentimes we see breath work done for like a grounding, to like bring you into the present moment, to like bring you like here, right? And so when we bring the two together, somatic and breath work, we're actually allowing the body to move through, to release anything that is stuck within the body. So there's a really great book that I highly recommend to anybody who is on a healing journey or is looking at being a better version of themselves, and that is The Body Keeps the Score. That book talks about, and it really goes into where and how the body stores experiences that we have. Now, the book tends to focus more on traumatic experiences. I have a little bit of a different definition when it comes to trauma, because trauma happens, it doesn't happen to us, it's what happens within us. And so when we look at a experience, there is something that happened not only within the mind, but also within the body and the energetics of us. And so when we're doing somatic breath work, we're looking at using the breath, right, to shift the energy, to release the energy around something. And it can be as simple as, I'm just feeling really stressed out right now and I need to like breathe through this. to feeling like anxious, right? If you're feeling anxious about something, you can use somatic breath work to release any anxiety or anxiousness around something. And then even into bigger healing, such as traumatic experiences. You can use the breath work to move through the experience that the body didn't get to go through or didn't get to process through when a traumatic experience happened. So it's beautiful in the sense of you can use it for almost anything, like a everyday grounding practice to the bigger healing sessions to move through something, or as I like to do them, every single month under a full moon.
Okay, so tell me about I had another question I was going to ask, but then you mentioned full moon, and I am a Cancer and a Scorpio, so moons are my jam.
Yay. I'm a Cancer moon, so totally get you.
Um, so tell me, what do you do with regards to the full moon?
Oh, I love this. So our full moons are super fun because we look at, so I one of the other modalities is astrology. I'm an intuitive astrologer. So I look at what is happening within our sky, what the different planets are doing at the time of the full moon. So the full moon is usually a particular zodiac sign, but there's so much more to it that is happening with the other planets. And so I kind of look at that and come up with some type of message or theme or something that we're going to work through, because I'm somebody who likes to take I want to be my best version. And with that, that means taking 100% responsibility for what I'm creating in this world. And so I'm looking at each zodiac sign gives us an opportunity to work on something within ourselves. So a lot of people can look at it from the sense of this is the theme of this particular full moon because of its connection to certain planets, or it's just general energy. And some people can look at it like if I'm doing a one-on-one session with somebody, it might be around where the energy is in their particular chart. So maybe there's something in their chart that they're needing to work on. And so we can use it for that too. But in our full moon, like our group sessions, we look at this theme and we look at where maybe there's some work for us to do. Maybe there's a limiting belief in there. Maybe there's an experience in there. Maybe there's some decisions that we have that we're wanting to move through. And then we use that breath work, right, for whatever that theme is to, in the beginning, kind of shift out and release anything that we have connected both in the mind and in the body using the breath. And then in the second half, it's like, what do we now want to call in? What do we now want to choose? Because when we look at a full moon, just a little bit of a back on this, a full moon, a lot of people talk about release on a full moon. And I'm 100% in agreement with that. It's a great opportunity to release. There's other aspects of the full moon energy, though, that we can use, and that is celebrating. Because when we come from new moon to full moon, we are actually at the midpoint of that particular lunar cycle. And so what that really gives us is 2 weeks of, as we started with that new intention or whatever it is that we're wanting to use that new moon for, we now have this opportunity at full moon to celebrate what we've done, what we've been able to accomplish, and then let go of all the things that are around it so that we're not taking it into the next aspect, right? The next 2 weeks of that intention. So a simple way to look at that, and I like to describe it this way, is how you're getting ready for having some friends over or something, right? Maybe you're doing a girls' night, a craft night or something that I absolutely love. And you have all of these ideas of things that you want to do. And right, so you start preparing for that event. You set the intention, you start inviting people, right, to the event. You decide on what craft you're going to do. You start gathering the supplies. And then as you get to that midpoint of okay, we're almost about to do this, right? This is next week, or this is coming in a couple of days. You start to have things that worked and things that didn't, right? So let's say you had all the things that you wanted to get, but maybe some things are on back order, or maybe you wanted to bake this really cool recipe, but you're realizing you don't have time to now do that. And so it's like you get to that point where you're letting go of like, okay, I can't do all of this. There's only these things that I can do. If you look at it from that kind of idea, the execution is going to happen no matter what. You're going to have people over, you're going to have the experience, but we let go all of the things that the shoulda, woulda, couldas that we wanted to do for the event, right? It's the same kind of idea. And that's like, I look at it that way. Like I'm celebrating, like, oh my goodness, I just had my friends over, we're having a great craft night. And I let go of all the things that I wanted to do, I wanted to make it like that extra special thing. I'm a Taurus sun, so having people over and taking care of them with my Cancer moon is like, hello. So, all those little details, right? Those matter. But for me, what I realize when I look at like the lunar cycle, I'm like, oh, that's the lunar cycle. Like that midpoint for us to be like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do all the things that I wanted to do. And so I have to let that go and celebrate what I have been able to do or what I am going to get to do, which is hang out with my friends.
Exactly. I love the balance of that. I love the moon cycle because it's so short. So
Yeah.
it's like you get to have a
29 and a half
phoenix
days.
moment every month, It's like starting over.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. It's like a new beginning every 29 and a half days. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So my mission is to pour more compassion out into the world. And so I recognize that not everything I say or do is for everybody. But I also like to try and invite people in who think I might not be for them.
Mm-hmm.
And to give them an alternative perspective because maybe something I offer is for them and they just don't know it yet, right?
Yeah.
And I love your modality because it's kind of rooted in science. So it's sort of accessible to everybody, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not super woo-woo and it's not super technical. It's kind of right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of those modalities that's everybody can understand I need to breathe.
Yes. We all do it naturally. We
Gonna
know
ask
how to do it
whether you want
already.
to or not.
It's great. Yeah.
Um, and so, okay, so just to like open it up to the
Mhm.
people that might be like, this isn't for me. I don't have a need for it, yada, yada, yada. Like, what would you say to them?
Such a good question. So in my belief of the world, everybody has stress. Everybody has challenges, right? I think anybody can agree that there are challenges. Now, I'm somebody who's super optimistic, so I'm like, I can overcome them, right? So, yes, but I do still have challenges. Nothing is always easy, right? I have to learn something in some way, shape, or form. So there is a little bit of a challenge, right? I'm moving out of my comfort zone. So from that standpoint, everybody experiences this, and we all have different ways in which we resolve that, right? Breath work is for somebody who wants to release that stress, who wants to shift any energy that they might be feeling. And when I start to get into those words, can get a little woo woo. Yes, I know. And I will say, we all experience energy. So, and I use this as a great example. If somebody walked into the room and you immediately felt like, whether that was like, oh my God, I'm so happy, or oh my goodness, what's about to happen, we all intuitively have that. That is energy. So we all experience energy, whether we think it or not, we're all experiencing energy in some way, shape, or form. So breath work is just helping you shift that energy. That's all it is. So if you're experiencing stress, if you're experiencing a challenge in some way, breath work or doing breathing in a specific pattern is going to allow your body to release anything that may be stored in it. So people that have chronic pain, right? I often find, like I had a client earlier today who she happened to be in person, and we were doing some breath work, and we weren't even doing like a session, like a full session in breath work. We were just doing some regular breath work, but we were moving through something, right, that she was processing, that she was still holding in her body, and her body immediately started to shake, right, because her body needed to release the energy that we were processing. And that was natural. That happens naturally. Whenever we're in a certain state, like a heightened state of emotion, our body is doing something. And when we start to tune into it and pay attention to it, that helps us really know, like, ooh, okay, something's off for me, right? My body's feeling something. So after we did this breath work, I see her like stretching, right? She's like moving her body and she's stretching. And I was like, what shifted? Like, why are you feeling called to shift? She's like, I don't know. Like, I was having this back pain and it doesn't feel like that anymore. And I'm just like stretching it out. And I was like, oh, interesting, right? Because she was holding, and we did like a body scan as we were doing this to breathe. And there was something that was in her back. Now, energetically, as somebody who is an intuitive and works a lot with energy, like I could feel something was there, but I'm not going to plant that seed for her, right? I'm somebody who likes to empower my clients. So I wanted her to be able to sense that and feel that. And when she was breathing and she was like, yeah, there's something there, and she was breathing through it. And so at the end, she was like, oh, it feels weird. It feels different. And it's just simply because she moved the energy in her body that she could now move her body in a different way. So I know I'm hitting at it at a bunch of different angles, but I hope that opens up or invites somebody who might have a different perspective or who's curious. There's lots of ways that breathwork can support us. And when we do it, and it's not hard, which is really interesting, especially the breathwork I do, like we keep it simple. Like we don't get into holding the nostril, and I don't know, there's a lot of different versions out there, which I think are all great. I've tried them all, but they didn't always work the way that I wanted to work with it. And so I keep mine super simple. So I invite you, like if you have never done a breath work before, like YouTube has tons of videos. I have some videos on YouTube, like go and watch one and see what they're doing. And then maybe if you're called, go try it.
Awesome. Okay, so I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask because there might be somebody who doesn't. So how is it just different from, and you've touched upon this, but just like to intentionally answer the question, how is it different from just breathing? Like, why do I need to hire somebody for this?
Yeah, so it's intentional, right? The way that we're breathing is intentional when like we're focusing, like I mentioned earlier with my client, we were intentionally focused our breathing on helping her shift her energy and move her energy through something that she was processing through, right? She had what I would call an upset, an argument, a trigger of some sort, and she was able to regulate herself through it in the moment. But then there's always the aftermath, right? And we want to deal with the aftermath, because if not, it's going to carry us into all the other things that we deal with, right? And so that's what we were doing. We were processing through that, but it was intentional breath work to help her move through that energy. So we're focusing, if you want to get into like universal law and consciousness, right? We're directing energy in a particular way for a particular reason. And so it's more, the easiest way I can say it is it's more intentional in what we're doing and what we're looking to release. So, I mean, if you want to like keep it down to the basics, that's the basics of what it is. It's an intentional, I want to say like an intentional affirmation or an intentional direction of energy in a purposeful way to move energy. Because we can't stop energy, we can't change energy. All we can do is move it, right? We can move energy. And so that's what we're doing with the breath work, is simply intentionally moving that energy.
Well, not to be contrary or anything, but we can
go ahead, pull it out. I love it.
We can stop energy. I mean, that would be the whole premise of stuck energy in our body, right? That we're trying to get out.
Okay. So from a, okay, like, yeah, I love this. I love it. I love it. So when you say stopped, tell me how you are referring to stopped.
So
Because we
I'm,
might be on the same page, but slightly different. So I just want to make sure.
yeah, you had said we can't stop energy. And
Hmm.
I kind of think about it like a dam in a river, right? You
Okay.
can stop the water. The water is definitely going to be pushing and wanting to break through, but we can
Yeah.
temporarily block it from flowing. And
Yes.
so, you know, the whole saying, uh, energy flows where thoughts go, or something like it's something along those
Yes.
lines.
Yeah.
Well, for me, when I'm feeling like pain in various parts of my body, it could very much be like I didn't let the energy flow out. So it is manifesting in some kind of
Yes.
ailment in my body. Now, that's not all ailments. So please,
No.
doctor, if you need
Yes.
one.
Yes.
We,
Yes, please.
well, at least I am not a medical professional. I don't know about
I'm
you.
not either. We're good.
Um, so I was just saying, like, there are instances where we can stop it, even if temporarily.
Yes, and I 100% agree with you on that. So I will change my wording in that. You're 100% correct. I guess so my context of stating it that way was energy is always going to come, right? Like so we can't stop that. But yeah, you're 100% correct. We can stop energy for
Yeah,
sure. So yes,
we can store
I'm
it.
in alignment.
We can store
Yes.
it. Yeah,
That's the problem, right? We're storing the energy, which is causing the dis-ease in our body.
exactly. Exactly. Um, so for anybody who's going through a breathwork session or thinking about if it's right for them, one of the questions they might have is, does it hurt? What's my experience going to be? Could it be harmful? You know, like
Hmm.
what's the PSA safety around breathwork?
Yeah, so I love it. Every single breath work, it's one of the things that I start with in what you might feel, what you might sense, what might come up for you. And so when we're doing like a one-on-one session, it's really easy for me to know what type of questions to prompt you with as you're moving through the session, right? When we're doing in a group session, it's kind of a bigger, more of a bigger group, so it's not specific to you, but it's more of a general audience. But there are things that are common amongst people when they do breathwork sessions, whether it's in an individual or a group, and that is there's this thing called tetany, and this is where people get like, I don't want to do this, because what tends to happen is people get what's called like crab hands when they're breathing, is because they're in our first half of our breathing sessions, we're looking to move the energy. And so our breath tends to be a little bit faster, a little bit more rhythmic. And so we're not breathing like we normally do. And because of that, our body isn't getting oxygen to all the places in the way that it normally does. And so our hands will start to like go like that and start like cramp up, like is what it feels like. And people are like, something's wrong. And it's not that anything's wrong, it's just you're not just getting oxygen like you normally do. When you start to slow that breath down, you will find that your fingers will like loosen up and it'll go away. So it's just the body, and it's so interesting like how just a simple breathing can do that to our bodies. And so if you think about, if you're in a high stress state all the time and you start to feel like that tension, that's exactly what it can start to feel like, which is why people always recommend slow your breathing down, right? Take nice, slow, long, deep breaths and it subsides. It's the same kind of idea. The other thing that people tend to experience is a release, which is something that we tend to look for in a breathwork session. Is we're looking for some type of release, because the point of a breathwork session is to move the energy that is stuck in the body, right? So as we're breathing, the body has to complete its cycle of whatever experience that it was in or had, or stressor, like whatever that thing is, it wants to complete the cycle. Oftentimes though, we stop that. We stop the cycle from completion, which is why it gets stored in our body. So a release is tends to be what we're looking for. It's not necessarily what we're striving for because there's more to it, but it is an effect that does happen. And that can come in a number of ways. It can come in laughter. You can just start laughing out of nowhere. There's yelling or screaming. So if you've ever seen any ads on like social media, you'll see people like yelling at the top of their lungs. That is definitely a response that you could have, that reaction or release of yelling. Another might be crying. So sometimes people will just start crying and having like a breakdown in that way. So there's just that emotion is just moving through you. You and I both, as cancers, right? We understand emotion moves through us a lot. And so it's just that emotion moving through us. Crying is not a bad thing. Crying is a beautiful thing because it's releasing something from our body. It's releasing toxins, releasing energy. It's a beautiful thing to cry. That's why at the end of crying, you always feel so much better. And then you feel exhausted because you've just released a whole bunch of stuff. So there's that. Let me see. The other thing that you kind of can experience during breath work is your body wanting to move in some way, shape, or form. So for me, one of my key signs in breath work when I'm doing breath work on my own is my legs will start to move. Like my right leg in particular, it just starts to move, it wants to move. And I used to, when I first started doing breath work, I used to be like, stop moving. I'm supposed to stay still, because I didn't know. And I kept trying to hold myself still, but my leg kept wanting to move. And it wasn't until I had an instructor who was like, no, let your body do what your body needs to do, because your body naturally knows. It is so wise. It knows exactly what to do. And we can look at animals. I look at my pug all the time, and he'll shake his little body, right? Resetting his nervous system if something's happened, right? Or he gets all he just start moving, and it's super cute because he's just processing, right? He's processing whatever has happened for him. And that's what we're doing. Our body is just processing. So you'll start to feel like maybe you want to move your arms or your legs, or some people will want to stand up and move their body in a certain way. You might want to sway. It's completely up to you. And I always recommend that, I know some people will put the masks on and the blankets and they're all cozied up, and I'm like, great. And also make sure that you can move your body freely, because you might be called to stand up, or you might I've had people get on all fours and just sway their body back and forth because that's what they needed. And that's what we want to see. We want to trust our body that it knows exactly what to do. You asked though, is it harmful or painful in any way? Now on a physical level, it's not painful. I think what can be challenging is keeping with the breath work in that rhythm, because it's not something that you're used to. So can it be a little bit challenging? Absolutely. A lot of people get dry mouth because you're you're like, I need to, I don't breathe this way. It's like panting like a dog. We don't breathe that way. So that can be a little bit challenging, can be a little bit discomforting, but painful? No. Harmful? No. The only thing I would say is if you are pregnant, that is something that to be mindful of. There are, it's one of the things that is always recommended, that if you are pregnant, especially in your last trimester, it's not advised. Anybody who is under any type of influence of alcohol or any other medicinal products, they also don't really necessarily recommend it, just because it can alter state. So that might be something that you'd want to pay attention to, but as a whole, it's not harmful physically. Now, let me be clear. When we stop ourselves, and this is through any healing modality that you have, if you stop yourself from allowing yourself to process whatever is coming up, that can be emotionally painful or emotionally triggering if we stop ourselves. If we are doing, this is one of the reasons why it is recommended, at least, the first time you do it, to do it with somebody who is trained or has expertise in the area, because they can help you move through that. They can notice when you are moving through the experience or moving through the traumatic experience, if that's what comes up. And they're able to help you move through that so you can allow it to go all the way through that cycle so that you can come out of it. Because if not, if you try to do it on your own and something is coming up, especially in a longer session, short sessions that usually doesn't happen, but in a longer session it can happen. You want to be able to have somebody be able to guide you through that. Now, once you've experienced on your own and you feel capable, I highly recommend being able to, if you can, find somebody that has a long session recorded somewhere that you can go through that. I think that would be great. But in the beginning, I would highly recommend, especially if it's your first time, to either do a really short, like a 10-minute session. I do like these reset sessions that are like 15 to 20 minutes. Those are good, but anything longer than that, you could start to have some things come up that you're processing through that you might need some extra support in.
Cool. That's a lot of information for people.
Yeah. I just gave it all. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're totally cool. And just like with any personal growth, the deeper you go, the bigger the release, and that may or may not feel good, on in any different energetic system in your body. So emotions, energetic, whatever. I remember the very first time that I did breath work. The experience is still so vivid in my mind. I was staying with a friend in Boston, Massachusetts, and she was going with somebody else, and that person had bailed on her. And so she was just like, "Oh, you want to go to this thing with me?" And, being the great friend that I am, I was like, "Sure,
Sure.
no problem." I had no idea what I was signing up for. I just was going to go with my friend to a thing that
Yeah.
she wanted me to go to her with. And so I went about my day as if I wasn't doing anything because I had no idea what it was. I didn't know. I knew what time it started, but I didn't know how long it was. I didn't know what was involved. I didn't even I knew nothing.
Wow.
So anyway, I told her where I would be coming from. So I had appointments in the city, and then I was going to go to the gym, and then I was going to show up at this thing. And so she was like, "Okay, I'll bring all the things that you need." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Like time to ask a question here, but I don't. I just was like, "Okay, fine." And I run,
Yeah.
you know?
Trusting your friend.
And with this particular friend, I do have to often ask, what am I supposed to wear? Because she's always like glammed up at things and I never look as good as she does. And so I'm like, is this like dressy? What? And she's like, just come in your yoga pants, all is well. I'm like, oh, yes, this is my kind of event.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, fine. So anyway, I go to the gym, I do my hour-ish workout at the time. And I haven't had lunch yet because I'm like going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing.
Oh
And I
no.
get to this thing, and there's a line out the door around the building. And I'm like, what is this thing she signed me up for? Like, now I'm starting to,
Yeah.
what is this thing? Right. And I'm thinking, if I have to wait in a line this long, I need something to eat.
Oh
And
no.
right. And so then I asked my friend, like, um, how how long is this thing? And she's like, "Oh, it's about 3 hours." I'm like, 3 hours in this line. I'm like, I need food. Like, I can't go another 3 hours without
Yeah.
something to eat.
Right.
But there's nothing around, so I just go get like a Snickers bar or something and a water, and I run in, and she's got this bag with a blanket and an eye mask and a pillow and all this stuff, and I'm like,
Yep.
"Are we napping?"
Yes.
So anyway, we get into this room, and it's a big like gymnasium auditorium sized room, and there's hundreds of people, and they're all
Wow.
putting out yoga mats, and this is a big guy with this like booming voice, and he he's got staff, and there's speakers and all sorts of stuff going on. And again, I have no idea. I will preface, because it's pertinent to the story, is I had just gone through some like major personal growth of my own and just had this sort of like big release or big aha moment. And so
Mm.
I was like on top of the world. I felt like amazing and great and fantastic. Okay, and then we go into this thing and we're doing this thing and there's all these waivers to sign and I'm like, what's going on, right? And then we get into the heat of it, and there's people screaming, and there's people crying, and there's people moaning, and there's like wailing happening. And I'm just like, this is so fun. Like dancing in my, like, while I'm laying down, and and but at the same time, like I can feel the energy coming at me that people are releasing, and I'm like, no, I don't want any of that. And so I
Yep.
like put this shield up to shield myself from it. And
Yep.
so I'm this in this just like little happy bubble, like warding it all off and like dancing
Yeah.
in my bubble. And I tell this story because I want people to know like everybody has their own experience.
Yes.
And I had a fantastic time. Did I have the release that other people were having? No, because I had just done it, so I didn't go into it like that. But I also was a supportive energy for my friend who was doing her thing, and it all worked out in the end. But it was just an incredible experience. It allowed me to like sample it because he took
Mhm.
us through this journey of like all different types,
Mhm.
and I did feel the like claw like happening at some particular point in time. It wasn't super strong, but I'm like, oh, look at my crab hands. Um, And then I heard like eons later, I heard this thing, and I don't know the specifics of it, but it was something like we are supposed to, or we are capable of breathing like 2 liters of
Mhm.
oxygen in every breath, and yet we only breathe in like an ounce or something. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but
Yeah.
it's some drastic difference. And so the exercise was like, see how deep of a breath you can take and release. And I remember trying that for a couple of minutes and like my whole body tingling because it was like, what is
Mhm.
this thing we call oxygen? It was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it can have all different types of experiences, whether you're doing it formally or informally or whatever. Anyway, anything you want to add?
I was just gonna say I love that you shared that story because it everybody does have a different experience, and I always preface like every breath work is different. Depending on you, depending on like what um you're going through, where you're at in your life at the moment, what you're experiencing, like everybody experiences it different. And that is one of, the first time I was in person in a room with hundreds of people doing a breath work like you, it was very overwhelming. And I had already done breath work for a very long time. So I was, I knew what the process was, I knew what to expect, but I had never been in it. And the energies of it's very intense. And if you aren't careful, yeah, you can take a lot of that energy that is moving through the room, and depending on how the person is holding that container as well. It's one of the reasons why I actually love virtual instead, because I do mine on Zoom, so everybody's muted and you can't hear anybody screaming or laughing or whatever, because you're in your own little bubble, like you were saying, and you're only listening to the music and you're processing your own stuff. And so most of the time people's eyes are closed or they have an eye mask on, so they're in their own little world, and you're just moving through that energy, which I think is really powerful. Not to say that in person isn't, because you can feel that energy of the room and it can help and support you as well. Because I know, when I hear somebody like yelling and screaming, it like almost gives me permission in some ways to do it myself, right? So, there is a little bit of that. And I think try it, test it. You're either going to be like, yeah, this is for me, or you're like, nope, never doing that thing again. Right? And that's the beauty of this. Like you get, and especially the day and age that we live in now, like we have these options, which I think is super cool. So that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love it. And I love this point that gets raised indirectly in that, there's likely an abundance of people in the world that offer breath work. And
Mhm.
yet every experience is going to be different. Every person you go to is going to deliver it differently. As you mentioned earlier, you offer different types of modalities. So you're naturally going to be a different type of breathwork coach. Is that what you call it?
Practitioner.
Practitioner. Okay. Because of your background, your wisdom, your gifts, your experiences in life, and what you bring to the table. And I love that because not everyone is for everyone, and it's an abundant world. And so you have choices, it's like the power of choices. And my mission is to, pour compassion into the world. And
Mhm.
so having people connect with the right person for them in the right modality to give them their better way or whatever way is going to bring them the most joy and freedom and love and compassion and acceptance is beautiful.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree.
So, with that in mind, do you want to share any of your other modalities? And if our audience members are interested in any of them, they can let us know in the comments because it also, helps with the algorithm and stuff. And like a little side note there. And then we can potentially have you back on to talk about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did already kind of mention a little bit about astrology. So astrology is probably one of my favorite, probably my second, if not favorite as well. It's hard when you use all the different things, but astrology really gives us. I love the cycles of astrology. I love the rhythms of astrology. I love how informs us of how we can work with the different planets and what they're doing and their energies. So I tend to bring astrology into a lot of the work that I do. One of my very first modalities, though, was NLP. So I do bring a lot of neuro linguistic programming into the work that I do, which is really focused more on the subconscious mind, hypnosis as well. So, like on my YouTube channel, I have old hypnosis recordings that I did years ago that are still on there. So hypnosis is another one. So like you said, in each breath work, it's different. I also work within the Akashic records. So when I'm doing my breath work, I'm bringing all of these different modalities into play. So there is a light trance that we go into as we're preparing to get into breath work so that we do open up the subconscious mind. I do open the records for that particular breath work. So any information or energy that is wanting to move or needs to be delayed, not delayed, delivered, that was the word I was looking for, delivered to somebody in a particular breath work, or something that is needed to be heard or said to the collective. If it's in a group, that message is coming through. So if we're looking at a past life, because sometimes at least in a one-on-one session, if a past life is wanting to come up, I'm able to direct that person into it. So working in past lives is probably one of my favorite things to do. So within the Akashic records, we're looking at past, present, and future. So, looking at doing any type of healing around any of that is where we would focus. So there's to bring that all kind of together. I kind of call it the inner alchemy work, because we're alchemizing our own, like I look at it as being the magician. If you're into tarot in any way, shape, or form, it's like we have these tools and we become the magician working with our inner world so that it can reflect in our outer world. So I like to bring it all together in different ways and different aspects. So when you ask like what modality, it's really hard for me to like narrow it down, because whether I'm doing an NLP session or an astrology reading, all of it is coming into what I'm working on when I'm looking to support a person. And what I love about that is it gives me different ways and approaches to how I can help somebody achieve their ultimate goal, whatever that might be. So yeah, I feel very blessed that I have my biggest value, or my top value, is growth. And so I'm always looking to learn and to grow. At some point, I will add Reiki. I have a particular teacher who I want to work with, and I'm waiting for her to offer it. And when she does, I will learn it. But I just think it's any way that we can work with our modalities. The Akashic Records really taught me that, because I had known a lot of these other modalities, but when I learned the Akashic Records, it helped me bring all of it kind of together and see how they all mix and match together. So yeah, I think it's beautiful when people have multiple modalities that they can bring in and use in a session in whatever it is that you're working on.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a all open doors kind of gal.
Yeah,
And I'm
me too.
also a take what resonates and leave the rest kind of gal. So I don't need to, the saying that just popped into my head, which I don't know that it's a real saying, is like, I don't need to adopt the Bible to read a verse. Um, it just popped into my head. So maybe that's for
No.
somebody. So anyway, I would love to know like how you got started with breathwork, how this all came to be, how you got into modalities. I don't know which one came first. So just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my journey really started around my 33rd birthday. I would say that is now about 14 years later. But it did start right after my Saturn return, where I was feeling a lot of pressure because I wasn't really on the path, or on my path, my soul's mission, and I was very much far away from it. And so there were things that kind of happened to kind of bring me into that place to start to look at myself. And it really started with personal growth and development of, I took a Franklin Covey class, of all things, in corporate, that was called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? I was just trying to be like an effective, productive human being. And it had, in that class, we worked on mission statements. And that was kind of my first opening into, I can kind of direct what I want. And that really started me into looking at different ways of learning about myself. And that got me into two things. Number one was NLP, which I went and got certified and became a master practitioner of NLP, and then eventually went into training, being able to teach and train others in NLP. And then I also went into the world of spirituality, which led me into kind of the pagan route, which led me into like developing my intuition, my psychic abilities, which kind of took me into that road. So I was kind of running down both paths for a very long time, of like really diving into the subconscious mind, and learning hypnosis in that way. And then also learning this other side of the coin, which was spirituality. I was born and raised Catholic, until I decided to leave religion and step in more into the traditions, more of the pagan traditions, and feeling called to that, and understanding more of nature and how to work with nature and the cycles of nature, which then led me into the astrology lens. And so started working in the realms of astrology, understanding astrology, as I was helping clients have breakthrough sessions with their mindset, their subconscious mind, doing hypnosis sessions and healing traumas, doing past life regressions, that kind of stuff. And I always was called, because I started to do my own breath work probably towards the end of like that border of probably like my second year of in NLP. And I started to do breath work, and it was very masculine breath work. And so it was very fierce and very forced. And I was like, okay, I have to muscle through this. I have to do it. And it wasn't until I found somebody that was doing more what I like to look at as balancing the masculine and feminine in somatic breath work, that I was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for, and stepped into that. So I was called to do breathwork for a very long time. I think I didn't step into breathwork until 3 years ago, like fully stepping in and getting certified as a practitioner just 3 years ago. But the whole, like, I don't know, probably like 10 years, I was really looking at like wanting to learn breathwork. I just couldn't find the right teacher. And I'm a strong believer that when you're ready, your teacher will come. And so in that journey as well, Akashic Records came. So I actually learned Akashic Records before I learned breath work because I was still looking for my teacher. And the same as I was diving into this, like developing intuition, getting more into the pagan traditions, I had a reading by a psychic, and she was like, "You're an Akashic Records reader." And I was like, "I have no idea what that is." And she's like, "You need to look into it." I was like, "Okay." And so I started to look into what is this thing called Akashic Records, and dove into that, try to learn it on my own. Couldn't. I would like have glimpses of getting into the quantum field, but couldn't really hold it. And so then I was also looking for a teacher, and I'm somebody that is not going to just take a course just to take a course. Like it has to feel like a fit for me. Like I've really known that it has to be a really good fit for me, that I feel safe in the space, that I feel like I'm aligned with this person's teachings and the way that they see the world, in order for me to actually go and follow through. And so that's what I did. I actually found my teacher. I think she came through like a Facebook ad, and I absolutely adore her, love her. I still get to work with her till this day. And she taught me the Akashic Records. I took all the way up into her like master level, and now I get to support her in her company with doing readings for her clients and students, which is beautiful. I love it. So it just took me into this whole other world. And so I feel like, whether you're called to a certain modality to use in your healing journey, or you're being called to learn a particular modality, I firmly believe that when you're ready, that modality and that teacher will be present for you. And sometimes the teacher that isn't aligned is probably also great, because they're going to teach you so much about yourself and about how you function. And so I've had both, and I really now am very particular about who I work with. I have a new mentor and a new modality that I'm learning right now in deepening my understanding of trauma and deepening my understanding in my trauma work. And I love it. And she had come to me probably 4 years ago, but I wasn't ready for her. And I had to learn some things. And now I'm like fully ready. And I'm so blessed to be in a container that is helping me deepen that. Because I said my top value is growth, and I believe in a healer that is also growing. If you're going to work with me, like, you have to know that I'm also doing my own work and I'm learning more. And I don't know if I'll ever stop learning and trying new modalities. Like I said, my Reiki teacher, I know she's there. I'm just waiting for her to offer so that I can take it. I know that's something I want to do as well. So long story to say, a little bit about me is I'm big on growth. I'm big on taking 100% responsibility for my life, and knowing and trusting that everything is always working in my favor, and my path is like, the people on my path are coming, whether they are aligned or not, are always working for me.
Nice. I love that. I feel like I want to call this episode something like from effective person to purposeful woman.
Ooh, I like that. I would definitely call myself 3D to 5D. I definitely was very, very much in that realm, but it's all good. I love it.
Yeah. I heard a facilitator once say something along the lines of, I can't remember if she used the word teacher or leader, but it was
Mm.
basically like a teacher is only as effective as they are willing to learn.
Mhm.
And it in her explanation of that was that um, at some point you're going to run out of teachings
Mhm.
unless you continue to learn yourself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love what you're saying with the focus on growth, and people knowing that when they work with you, that you're also working on yourself, because um, it's like you can only serve them to the point that you've worked on yourself. And so
Yeah.
I love that. Love that.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think I had a mentor tell me, never trust a leader without a limp. And I was like, I didn't understand that at the time, because I was like, why does that matter? And then I was like, oh, if they think they're perfect, then they got some work to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I love telling this story. It's not completely relevant, but I just want to tell it.
I love it. It's
Um,
relevant for somebody.
yeah. So, early in my career, I went to go work for Harvard University. I worked in their tech department for one of their schools, and it was my job to build administrative applications for the faculty and staff of
Okay.
one of the schools. And so I was sitting in a conference room, and there was a professor, and he was explaining his needs so that we could build him an administrative system. Now,
Okay.
all the professors at Harvard are like doctors and lawyers and presidents and like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Nobel Peace Prize winners. They're like really smart people. And I was young, and I had in I was bullied for a lot of my childhood, and so I kind of checked out of the classroom during schooling a lot of the time. And so after graduation, I sort of had these like limitations about me, that I didn't think I was smart, that people were going to figure me out, that I was stupid, or what have you.
Mm.
Um, and I had done all the work for my engineering degree, and I had all the expertise to be there. But at the same time, I had this belief like they were going to figure me out. I was dumb. I would never play trivia because, then people would really know how not smart I was. So, anyway, I'm in this conference room, and I just don't understand what the professor truly needs. Like, he's speaking Greek to me. He's probably speaking physics, and it's like this thing. And I just don't, I'm like, how am I supposed to serve him? I don't even understand what he
Wow.
needs. And I realize I can't be effective unless I tell him that I don't understand what he's saying. And so I like trepidatiously raised my hand and like, just don't get it. I don't understand what you need from us. And so he like puts it in layman's terms, and he finally explains it in a way that I can understand and I know what to do for him. And afterwards, I apologize that I make him explain, and I don't understand him and all the things. And his response to me was like, never stop a professor from professing his genius. He's like, all the opportunities you want to give me for me to profess how brilliant I am, I'm game,
Wow.
you know.
I
And,
love that.
it's kind of not in alignment with what we were saying, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I love the story because for me, it was an aha moment of that's how you grow, is like letting people teach you and being willing to show your flaws. And I wasn't stupid. I, felt way more stupid than I actually was. But by like giving somebody a glimpse into that, they actually made me smarter. And over time, I gained my confidence in being like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. And I get to learn so much more by being willing to say that. So,
I
and
love that story. Yeah. I resonate with that story a lot, in the sense of being in spaces and places that I was afraid to ask questions, or in my perspective, it was to look dumb, right? I didn't want to look dumb. I didn't want people to figure out that I wasn't as smart as I thought they were, more than I was. And so I love that. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, thank you for listening. And thank you to all the listeners for listening and the viewers for listening. So, how can people get in touch with you if they would like a breathwork session or any kind of session for any of your lovely modalities?
Yeah, so the best place to go is to thepeaceteacher.com/resources. And on there, there's a number of things that you can find, like a daily spiritual practice that has breathwork involved, along with some journaling and some other things. There's also a link to book a session with me, just to kind of see, what you're looking for, where you're at, and see what the best step would be. Because sometimes I'd recommend having a breathwork session. Sometimes I might recommend having, more like a healing session. And sometimes it's just, this was great to meet, and I'm going to recommend you to somebody who I think would be a good fit for you. So definitely check it out. I live in the world. We're very similar in this space, Melanie. That I live in a world of abundance, and I truly believe if I'm not the right fit, I'm going to help you find the right fit. So just I'm really open to that. So you can go to thepeaceteacher.com/resources. I know there's a link down in our description and show notes for you. But yeah, you can find me there. I'm also on all your social media platforms under Danie Muniz. So yeah, come hang out with me.
Nice. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything, like any last thoughts you would like to leave with our listeners, viewers?
Yeah, my last thought would be, if this brought up any curiosity about anything that I said, whether it be breath work, whether it be trauma, whether it be NLP, astrology, any of it, if anything piqued your interest, that is a sign that you should probably take a look further into it. So whether that's with me or somebody else, or just simply on YouTube, follow that. Follow your intuition, follow what is coming up for you, because you never know where that's going to lead you.
Absolutely. I love synchronicities.
Me
Look
too.
for the evidence it's meant for you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, for giving the audience, our community, your insights, and teaching us about your modalities and how we can use them to bring more joy and freedom and compassion into our lives to support ourselves so we can better support others. It's been such a pleasure and a delight having you here. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, Melanie. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your light, for your magic, for the work that you're doing in this world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and don't ever stop.
You either. um, So, of course, please, if any of this resonated with you, like, hype, share, comment, do all the engaging things because, technology is what technology is. It too likes to be engaged with, loved on, supported. So when you do that, it like multiplies and shares it out with the world. So, so please do that so that we can reach the people that need us, that need this modality, that need some compassion, some freedom, some joy in their lives. And remember, if it feels hard, if your tasks seem impossible, or you just don't like the options laid out in front of you, there is always a better way. I'm Melanie McSally, your Better Way architect, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for sticking around to the end. I want to share something special with you. Every couple of weeks, I bring the Wyze community together for an experience. Many of the guests that you've listened to here on this show become my special Wyze guest guide, where they take us on a customized journey featuring their gifts and aligned with the theme of the Wyze experience. This year, in the Universal 1 year, 2006, we are planting the seeds of abundance and flowing with the duality between planning and living. Throughout the quarters, we follow the seasons of a garden, starting with winter, reflect, rejuvenate, and replenish, and closing the year out with fall, harvest, celebrate, and retune. These experiences were designed with compassion, joy, and abundance in mind. They are a mixture of reflection, connection, release, upliftment, and growth. They are open to all heart-centered souls at no cost. Near the end of each gathering, I invite participants to offer a suggested contribution of $8.88 US dollars, a number that aligns with abundance, prosperity, and infinite flow. You're welcome to give in accordance with the value you received and your means. All contributions go directly to the Wyze guide of that experience. You can learn more and apply to attend at stepinto.wyze.community/belong. The link is also in the description. And if you're interested in attracting more abundance, I've created the Year of Abundance program. When you join the Year of Abundance, you receive access to 2 live Wyze experiences each month of 2026. All replays of every gathering, so you never miss a moment. Weekly integration prompts to support your growth. Access to the private program space on our online Wyze community platform for connection and discussion. Contributions to all Wyze experience guest guides are included, past and present, plus a special physical gift mailed to your home. You can join at any time for a single payment of $288.82, that's US dollars. When you do, you'll receive access to all recordings for the year of 2026, and your contributions will flow to the Wyze guides who have already shared their wisdom, all in alignment with the natural flow of abundance. You can learn more and join stepinto.wyze.community/abundance. The link will also be in the description. Remember, joining the Abundance program is never a requirement for attending any live experience. Everyone is welcome. There is always a better way, and I'd love to support you in finding yours.